So if you all can hear me and can see me, let me see a wave from you. Just a wave. Give me a wave from wherever you are. Sandy, I can see you. Rocklin, you're not waving me yet. Dave, you're not in your seat. Um, Doc Rajendra, yes, I see your wave. Thank you very much. Eric Agbozo, thank you. My chairman, Oliver, and the rest of you, I cannot see you, but either see a picture of you smiling or a blank space. Indeed, we thank God. Tonight is another night for us to learn how to reprogram our mind in a scientific way. Have you ever thought about this topic? Have you ever thought of reprogramming your mind? The mind is such a very powerful tool, and whatever you intend to do with the mind, however you want to control your mind, you are able to do that. So tonight we're privileged to be joined by a doctor, and we've had opportunity to meet this wonderful doctor, speak to us some time back, and I remember everything he said. I remember he blew my mind. Tonight our speaker is an ex-Air Force officer. He is an entrepreneur. He is an author. He is a philanthropist. He is a motivational speaker. He's a personal development coach, and he is the founder and CEO of Moria Infotech Services. He's also the founder and the president of Care for Mankind, an NGO based in India, and they're doing amazing things. And tonight, in the next 45 minutes, our speaker is going to speak to us on how to reprogram your mind in a scientific way. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome our speaker for tonight, Dr. Rajendra Moria, all the way from India. Doc, I can see you're all set and looking sharp already. You're welcome, and please take over from here. Thank you. Doc, you're kindly muted. Kindly unmute yourself and go ahead. You're muted.
Okay.
Thank you
very much. Thank you very much, Frankie. I hope I am audible.
You are.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, from wherever you have joined. As Frankie has already introduced me, I'm Dr. Rajendra Moria from New Delhi, India, and I'm really privileged to be on this platform at this time. Thank you once again very much for inviting me at this platform. Today's topic is a very different one. Some people understand it, some people may not understand it at this time. Okay, I think I can share my screen. Okay, all right. Yeah, here is reprogram your mind in a scientific way. First, you can see the quote: "Your mind is a more than a supercomputer." Yes, ladies and gentlemen, our mind, your mind is more than a supercomputer, and let's make full use of it. How many of you making full use of it? Very few, very few. And if you can make use of it as much as possible, your life is going to be phenomenal. That's true. So, first of all, let us know why we should reprogram our mind. See, whatever we are at present, whatever life we had, let it be our physical health and fitness, let it be our financial life, let it be our social life, our relationship, or whatever is around us, everything is due to our mind. Whatever the programming has been done in our mind from various sources, we have the outcome at present. So there are many people who understand this, there are so many people who don't understand it. So a lot of people have old mind, who has hate, who has sadness, who has shame, who regret in their life, who have fear, who have anger, who have guilt, failure, or compromise. If we can reprogram our mind, I'm sure we can replace our hate to love, sadness to happiness, shame to pride, then to hope, faith, joy, from guilt to compassion, failure to success, and from a compromised life to fulfillment. That is sure. That's why we should reprogram our mind. Then let's move further and see what is mind. Most of you must be knowing what is mind, but let me tell you, the mind can be defined as a person's set of intellectual or mental faculties. The human mind refers to the group of cognitive psychiatric processes that includes function like perception, memory, desires, various types of reasoning, motives, choices, traits of personality, etc. So, and let me tell you further that there are mental processes that we have. What are the mental processes? Mental processes encompasses all the things that the human mind can do naturally. Mental processes are continuously relevant and affecting or intaking events from daily life. And there are two types of mental process. If you look closely, it is possible to divide our mental process into two different groups. First is conscious process, and second is subconscious process. Subconscious process is the mental process that we are aware of and know when they are happening. For example, remembering information that you studied for an examination would be a conscious process, as you have to voluntarily and consciously work to remember a stored memory. Same way, if we go for subconscious process, it's a mental process that occur without us realizing what's going on. There are studies that show that the body experiences physiological change, for example, body temperature, when we are exposed to emotional stimuli for a short period of time, that can be even for a milliseconds, that go unnoticed. This means that even though we are not conscious of these stimuli, the mind is able to react them. So these are the mental process, two types, conscious and subconscious process. Now let's go ahead and see what is brain in the brief. The brain is one of the largest and most complex organs in our body. It is made up of more than 100 billion nerve cells that communicate in trillions of connections called synapse. It plays a role in just about every major body system, and we can say it's command center for human nervous system. Brain is surrounded by a layer of tissues called the meninges, and the skull help us to protect our brain from injuries. So here you can see, and then further, the brain is made up of specialized areas that work together. That is, you can see the cortex, the brainstem, the basal ganglia, the cerebellum. The cortex is the outermost layer of brain cells. Thinking and voluntary movements begin in the cortex region. Then the brain system, that is between the spinal cord and the rest of the brain. Basic function like breathing and sleeping are controlled here in the brain stem. Then third one is the basal ganglia. They are cluster of structures in the center of brain. It coordinates masses between other brain areas. Then the cerebellum. Cerebellum is the base at the back of our brain. It's somewhere here, and it's responsible for coordination and balance. Then further, brain is also divided into several lobes. There's a frontal lobes, then parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and occipital lobe. The frontal lobe that are responsible for problem solving and judgment and motor function, means for our movement. Then parietal lobes manage sensation, handwriting, and body position. The temporal lobes are involved with our memory and hearing, and the next occipital lobe, it contains brain's visual processing system. So these are different parts. Brain has been divided into various lobes. It's a brief introduction about the brain. You might have read somewhere or may not have read. Now let's go ahead and see what is the difference between brain and mind. See, the brain, we can say it's a hardware part in our body, whereas mind is like a software. Our body is like a computer and brain is like a hard disk in our system. whereas mind can be compared with the software in that hard disk. So number two, next is our brain is a physical organ in our body, whereas mind is not physical and we can call it as a metaphysical. And our brain is made up of nerve cells and blood vessels, whereas in the case of mind, it's not so. Brain has different size and shape. You can see our brain has different size and shape, but there is no size and shape in case of mind because it's a not physical. Brain has its certain weight and mind don't have any weight. Further, my brain can be touched from the fingers. Can still, yes, our brain is over here, but mind cannot be touched, and it has the significant duties. Brain has the significant duties, whereas mind controls how we understand something. Then, its brain is the center of the nervous system which coordinates the movements, thoughts, and our feelings, whereas mind refers to a person's understanding of things. Sorry, and also our conscience. Mind also refers to a person's thought process. Ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing wrong with our brain. Physical brain is more or less same for all of us in our human beings, except few exceptions. The only thing that matters and makes a difference is how our mind is being programmed. We humans are a complex machine, like a robot, and our body functions according to the software that is there in the brain. So far, us a lot depends on our mind. Now, let's uh, take a look at types of minds. Okay, there are two types of minds, Mr. Everett, are viewed in the video on the YouTube. One is conscious mind, another is subconscious mind. The conscious mind is your logical mind. It receives information from your five senses. You all know what are the five senses. It is where you think and rationalize. Logic rules the day in the conscious mind. However, the conscious mind does not control our actions. Never. Our conscious mind never controls our actions. Our actions are almost and exclusively controlled by the subconscious mind. The mind is largely ruled by the emotions and instinct. Its job is to help us meet our needs and urges like reproduction, food, thirst, safety, intimacy, and others. It's really very powerful force. Means our subconscious mind is really very powerful. It doesn't judge. It simply acts and often commands our and your actions. Whatever there is a program in your subconscious mind, it will just command for actions. And these two minds, but let me tell you further, these two minds work together to determine your actions. They can bring you success or failure, happiness or anxiety, achievement or frustration. It's all in the way you use them. You cannot outperform your image of yourself that is stored in the subconscious mind. That is what often prevents people from succeeding. Have you ever, let me ask you, have you ever not asked someone for a date due to fear of them saying no? Or not applied for a job because you feared of getting failed? Actually, this is subconscious mind at work. If you do not have an image of your goal or success in the subconscious mind, achieving consistent success is practically impossible. That's true. So now let us see some difference. There is some difference between conscious and subconscious mind. When I call it for reprogramming the mind, I will say reprogramming the subconscious mind because conscious mind cannot be programmed. It's already conscious in the conscious way. So when we compare what the conscious as subconscious mind, here you can see on the screen, conscious mind is just 5%. Let me tell you, conscious mind is just 5%. whereas subconscious is 95% that plays role in our life or body. Conscious mind works intermittently. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. When you are sleeping, your conscious mind doesn't work. Whereas our subconscious mind works continuously 24 into 7. Conscious mind also takes control over your logical and intellectual process, whereas subconscious mind mainly has the control over your physical functions. Next, if you are going further, decision making, planning, communication, thorough language, and skills of organizations are controlled by conscious mind, whereas breathing, digestion, memory, feelings, emotions, beliefs, attitude, and gut instincts are controlled by your subconscious mind. And further, moving further, it does not depend on the accessible information. Subconscious mind doesn't depend on the accessible information, whereas subconscious mind depend on the accessible information. And conscious mind can be aware of both internal mental functions and external happenings, whereas subconscious mind is not aware of both, neither internal mental function nor any external happenings. And one more thing, conscious mind is very slow. It processes just 40 bits of data per second, whereas subconscious mind is very fast. It processes 40 million data, 40 million bits of data per second. And conscious mind, it sees or thinks as what can be accomplished, whereas subconscious mind believes that what is imagined can be by the conscious mind can be achieved and goes to work on it. Now, there is one psychoanalyst whose name is Sigmund Freud. He has divided mind into three parts, like I told, conscious mind and subconscious mind. Mr. Sigmund Freud has divided mind into three parts. He says there are three types of mind: conscious mind, preconscious mind, and unconscious mind. According to him, the conscious mind, as I told already, that contains all the thoughts, memories, feelings, and wishes which we are aware of any given moment. This is the aspect of our mental processing that we can think and talk about rationally. This is also include our memory, which is not always part of the consciousness, but can be retrieved early and brought into awareness. The second, which makes another partition in the subconscious mind, it is preconscious, which consists of anything that could potentially be brought into our conscious mind. Then third one is telling that the conscious mind, unconscious mind, is the reservoir of feelings, thoughts, urges, and memories that are outside of our conscious awareness. The unconscious contains contents that are unacceptable or unpleasant, such as feelings of pain, anxiety, or conflict. So, Freud's concept that we can see is that we have divided the subconscious mind into preconscious and unconscious mind. But here we will be talking about conscious and subconscious mind only. It was just for your information that Freud has divided it into three parts. Now, moving further, uh, how our mind programming is responsible for our life. That's true. We believe it or not, our life is the expression of our mind programs, because 95% of our life comes from our subconscious mind. That's very much true. Just imagine what would happen if your subconscious programs match the wishes and desires and aspirations you hold in your conscious mind. In such case, results will be phenomenal. Really, that has to be. Mind influences biology, as discussed. There are two types of mind which are completely different from one another, yet they work together. Completely different, but they work together. So our life is totally dependent on how our subconscious mind has been programmed. Further, mind influences our biology, as we discussed. Okay, that I already covered. Then next comes why we reprogram our subconscious mind. Again, I'm asking why we should reprogram our subconscious mind. See, the subconscious mind is the equivalent to computer hardware disk. As you download software into it, you have seen, you have laptops, whatever the software you are downloading into your computer, your hard disk, your computer will give the output accordingly. There is no difference. If you want to see different result, you have to replace that existing software from another. So now let's take a look and say there is a thinking mind and there is a hard disk mind. But what's the difference about them is very, very important. When we look at the power between them, subconscious mind is a million times more powerful and it runs our biology about 95% of the time or even more. So while you are having these beautiful thoughts, that's not the conscious. The conscious mind is not running the show. Rather, it's your subconscious mind, subconscious thoughts doing most of the things in your life. But wait here. If it's so, you should not blame your subconscious mind for your present situation. Whether your situation, your life is good or bad, you should not blame your subconscious mind. Because whatever the programs has been there in your subconscious mind that you have not programmed, that has come from your parents, your teachers, your siblings, your school, your study, and your environment that has programmed your mind, and according to that program we all have our life at present. So if you want your life to be changed, you need to change the programming of your subconscious mind. I hope I am making sense, right? Okay, so now next question is it possible to reprogram our mind? And the answer is yes, we can we can reprogram our mind. How we can reprogram mind? To understand that, let's go briefly about our brain waves. We all have the brain, and these our brain have the waves. Brain waves are and what are the brain waves? Brain waves are oscillating electrical voltage in the brain, measuring just a few millionths of a volt. Its speed is measured in hertz, that is cycle per second. Everybody knows about it, and they are divided into bands denoting slow, moderate, and fast waves. So uh, now some of you may ask, can we measure the brain waves? Yes, that can be measured. Here you can see the picture, and you might have heard or not EEG and MEG, that is electroencephalography and magnetoencephalography. These are the equipment or techniques we can actually measure the brain activities. From EEG, there are many electrodes placed on our scalp, and another machine is MEG, where nothing is placed on your scalp. Just we place our hand inside the equipment, and we can monitor the activities, what's going on in our brain. So, and what are these brain waves? These brain waves are of five types. What are these? Here they have been named as gamma, beta, alpha, theta, and delta. These are different types of wave games. First is gamma. When is the gamma waves we called? When there is concentration or solving problems, very complex problem you are solving, you are busy, you are anxiety, you are in stress, that time our brains have gamma state of brain waves. Whereas when you are busy, your mind is active but not that much, you are not in stress, that time we have beta state of mind. Then there comes an alpha, that's a restfulness, reflective. When you are at rest, then our mind has alpha state of brain waves. Then there is theta, when we are feeling drowsiness, sleepiness, that's the theta brain waves. And delta, it's a state of sleep and dreaming. When we are totally asleep, totally unconscious, in that state we have the delta state of brain waves. Then now comes how our mind is programmed. That's a beautiful. This segment is very important and very beautiful. You might have, I don't know if you have heard it or not, but let me tell you. See, the age of 7 years, age up to the 7 years of a child is very important. Very means it's really critical, very critical and most important. When child of under 7 is in lower vibrational frequency that than consciousness, it's called theta. Means if we see the child up to the age of 7, It's not that the child don't have much of consciousness. So their brain have theta wave states, and theta is the status with almost no consciousness. They don't know. Even a candle is burning, child will go, he will catch. The child doesn't know whether there is danger in holding the candle or in fire. So they don't have any consciousness in their mind. And this is the age when most of the programming takes place in our body, in our mind. They what and how it's programmed? They watch their parents, children watch their siblings, they watch the environment, they listen everything. Their consciousness doesn't work, but the every sound, every image that is planting in their subconscious mind, and their mind is being programmed slowly, and that program, that everything that they are listening or watching, that is permanent for the whole life without knowing even anything. They don't have any consciousness, but still their subconscious mind is being programmed. And after the age of 6 or 7 years, child starts to think, they start being creative, and they start make choices consciously. And as they grows further, brain waves starts to moving into higher frequencies, say to alpha or beta or gamma. In our adulthood, most of the habits and programs are stored that were programmed during childhood before the age of 7. So let's move ahead and see what is the science behind the mind programming. That's very important. Though we all have single brain, that no, we have the brain, single brain, but think of your brain as three brains in one. You literally have three brains that allow you to go from thinking to doing to being. Here are three brains that you can see on your screen: neurocortex, limbic brain, and reptilian brain. So, cortex is the place of your conscious mind. It's largest and most evolved in the human beings. This part of brain takes you into the three-dimensional reality. It's divided into different regions and areas. So the frontal brain is also called forebrain or frontal lobe. It makes 40% of our entire brain. And let me tell you, it's the largest in human beings than that's what other species or animals have. Next nearest to the animal which we have, that is chimpanzee and gibbons, they have the 14 to 17% of this brain, and dogs you can say that's around 7%. Frontal lobe is also frontal lobe. this area, this area's frontal lobe is called frontal lobe. Frontal lobe is also known as to be called the area of executive function, but you can think it as a CEO of the brain, means he's the commanding center of the brain. So then frontal lobe is a creative, as I told you, it's creative, and it allows to decide on action, to focus our concentration, to invent, to speculate, to have the intention or have attention. It's the area of our brain that retains our emotional reactions or begins to speculate new possibilities. So think of your frontal lobe as the place of your conscience or your creative center. Now the rest of brain is divided into geography as well. For example, the back of your brain is called occipital lobe, or the visual cortex, is where you possesses sight or spatial orientation. There are strips and areas of your brain that allow you to feel certain things with your body, or to invoke or begin to initiate motor functions or the movement in your body. They are the areas of the brain that allows you to make a long-term memories and to begin to distinguish between self or non-self. But the entire brain is mapped geographically, and think of the first brain as part of the brain that allows you to learn new things and to have new experiences. This is the kind Some of you may not be understanding, but just be with me. I hope slowly it will be clear. So so when every time you learn something new, just listen carefully. When every time you learn something new, you make new connection in your brain. Learning is forging new synaptic connections. In some of the latest research in neuroscience says that 1 hour of focused concentration on one concept or idea literally doubles the number of connections in your brain and literally produces physical evidences as a result your interaction in the environment. So then all of this philosophy, the intellectual data, this theory, this knowledge is stored in the neocortex called your thinking brain, that's the forehead. Now the next step is to take the knowledge, next step is to take the knowledge, that philosophy, and to begin to apply, to personalize it, to demonstrate it, to initiate that knowledge in some way. And you, if you do this correctly, you can get your behaviors to match your intentions. That's true. You can get your actions equal to your thoughts. You can get your mind and body working together. You are going to have a new experience. Now when you are in the midst of an experience, all of your five senses plug into the environment, and as all that sensory information rushes back to your brain, jungles of neurons, lot of neurons begins to organize themselves into certain patterns in network. So then experience that enriches that philosophical circuit in your brain, and when those neurons begin to form network, the second brain called limbic brain, the emotional brain, the chemical brain, the mammalian brain begins to make a chemical. Means certain chemicals start forming in your brain, and that chemical is called feeling or emotion. So the moment you feel unlimited, the moment you feel abundant, the moment you feel free from any experience, now you are training your body chemically to understand what your mind is intellectually understood. So we could say that knowledge is the mind and experience is our body. And in that moment, you are embodying the truth of that philosophy, that because there is new information coming in from environment to us, you are literally beginning to change your genetic destiny by signaling new genes and new ways. And it's the limbic brain or the chemical brain that begins to manufacture those chemicals, so that your body begins to become chemically instructed, understand what your mind is intellectually understood, right? Okay. Now the limbic brain also has some other functions. It's the place of your autonomic nervous system, and the think of your autonomic nervous system as your automatic nervous system. This is the part of your brain that subconsciously regulates your temperature, your respiration, your heart rate, your blood sugar, your hormone level. This is the part of the brain that's giving us life automatically. We are moving automatically. Means the things that you have already been programmed, it gives you an automatic actions into your body. And so when you begin to manufacture that chemical from an experience, the emotional signature from the experience begins to change your body in some way. If you have been able to create that experience once, you should be able to create it again. That's true. If you have done something once, you definitely can do it again. Okay. And if you are able to recreate any experience again and again, you are going to begin to neurochemically condition your mind and body begin to work as one. And if you have done something so many times that your body now knows how to do it as well as your mind also knows. Now it's innate in you. It's a second nature. It's easy, it's automatic, and it's familiar for your mind. In fact, you have done it so many times. You see your past. You have done so many times that you no longer have to consciously think about it. So it begins to become a conscious program. Like if you are knowing the how to drive a car, initially you have learned it, you have practiced it again and again. Now you don't have to think consciously how to drive the car, right? That's become automatic in your actions through your subconscious mind, because that doing again on practicing again and again has programmed your mind to act in automatic way, right? Okay. Now, so now you know you you have done it, but you don't know how it has been done. And we could say now that you are developing a skill or a habit. Simply, if you have developed some skill or habit, you are repeating it again and again. In other words, you are beginning to master that philosophy and you are moving into a new state of being. And when you do this properly again and again, you activate that third part of the brain that is called cerebellum. Cerebellum is the third part of the brain that you activate. This is the part of the brain is responsible for you to begin to develop what's called implicit memories, where you have done something so many times you no longer have to consciously think about it, and that is who you are. That's what you are. So our job is now is to go from knowledge to experience to wisdom, from mind to body to soul, from learning it from with your head, applying it with your hands, and knowing it by your heart. And I can tell you that common people around the world, there are a lot of common people around the world, if they are doing uncommon things when they follow this formula, they are transforming themselves from ill health to a healthy life, from failure to success, from meager to richness, from miserable life to fulfilling life, from scarcity to creating new opportunities, and they are having mystical experience that transcend language, and they look just like you. Really, they are just like you. So uh, let's see now different ways how the brain works. There are two ways how brain works. First is neurogenesis, another is coherence as rhythm or order or synchronization. So first we have all the heard about that when you lose certain number of neurons in your brain, everyone must have heard that when you lose a certain number of neurons in your brain, then those neurons will never come back. You might have heard or may not. But there is an emerging field of science called neurogenesis. Neurogenesis literally means the growth of new neurons, and there have been research when it's found that when people begin to learn new things, when they have new experiences, they not only will begin to cultivate new synaptic connections in their brain, but they will actually flourish the growth of new neurons in their brain as a result of those new experience and new learnings. And it has been discovered that within 4 days, we begin to activate the very gene process that change. So the studies that were done in the early 1900 century said that no neurons controlling the brain. Those scientists were actually studying rodents like mouse, squirrels, etc. And they have studied them in an unchanging environment, means they have kept in the boxes or cases. So if they are in the unchanging environment, there will be no change, there will be no stimulation in the brain, they will see nothing, no change, they will not find any new activities, there is no new experience, and their brains will stay the same. There will not be any change. But in the case of humans, it's different. We constantly experience different environment. There is always change. Everywhere is change. So now let's talk about another. Uh, now let me tell you about yourself, ourselves. If you think the same thoughts every single day, whatever thoughts comes in your mind, if you think, if you consciously think that about that idea or thought every day, and most of the time, and let me tell you, most of the people, 80 to 90% of their thoughts are the same throughout the day. You just recollect your memory today, what you have thought whole day. 80 to 90% of the thoughts were the same. As the you have thought those you have those ideas previously many times, but still you are repeating same thoughts. In your biology, your neural circuitry, your neurochemistry, your hormones, and even your genes expression is equal to how you think, how you act, and how you feel. In other words, everything stays the same in the body if you stay the same, like in the case of the rodents. Well, a question arises then, is it possible that new thoughts that lead to new choices, that lead to new behaviors, that create new experience, that lead to new emotions, new feelings, that could inspire new thoughts, begin to change your biology? This is true. Would you begin to see significant change in the brain as well as body and ultimately in your life? Here is the answer. Research has proved that when you change, everything changes around you. That's it too. So the second concept is that's the neurogenesis concept of neurogenesis. The second concept is coherence as rhythm or order of synchronization. In this concept of coherence, think about coherence as rhythm or order or synchronization, anything you can call it. People who live by the hormones of stress are on a daily basis. There are a lot of stress in people's life, and for the most part of the day, that's a 70% of the time for most human beings. And when you are living in that stress, you are living for just survival. And when you are perceiving some threat in your external environment, a lot of people feel threat from the environment. You perceive a danger, you have the perception of something that could get worse, and it turns on the primitive nervous system called either fight or flight. So when you are in the stress, you're always trying to control or predict an outcome, any result. That's true. You are already speculating something bad can happen. So people when live under the shadow of those chemicals, that is chemicals of stress, those emergency chemicals are shifting their attention very quickly from one person in their life to another person in their life, to something at some place, to something at other place. They are into meetings, to places, and to destination they have to go. And every single one of those elements that are known in their external environment or neurological and networks that are reflected in their brain. So under the urgency, in the arousal of stress hormones, we begin to shift our attention from one person to another thing. We activate these individual circuits, and like a lightning storm and clouds, the brain begins to fire out of order very incoherently. And when the brain is incoherent, you are incoherent. And when the brain isn't working right, you are not working right. And it's the this state that begins to cause the brain to function like a house divided against itself. Different compartments of the brain no longer synchronize. And there is a formula as how to create more order and more coherence in the brain. That the formula is thinking and doing and being. And when you do this properly, when you do this correctly, without the aid of any drugs or medication or any external therapy, you just practice this formula, you can begin to make your brain work better and better. When your brain is functions functioning right, begin to see the world very differently. And so coherence is when the brain starts to unify those different communities of neurons that were once subdivided. All of a sudden you see the front of the brain, your front of the brain start resonating and begin to oscillate with the back of the brain. You see the right side of the brain starts synchronizing with the left side of the brain, and it starts to function in a holistic state. And that syncs, and what syncs in the brain links in the brain, and all of a sudden you start feeling more contented, more happy, more fulfilled. By the same means, when a person is living by the hormones of stress, there is only three things that primitive nervous system wants to do when you are living in survival. That's to run, to fight, or to hide. And because social norm says you can't fight, you can't run, you can't hide, many times people are stepping on the accelerator because the emergency system is failing them to act, and yet they are in the business meeting, they are in the car with the family, with the children, they are on the phone talking with someone, or and it's the stress hormone that are beginning to activate the heart to race because blood needs to be pumped to the extremities, to the whole body in the state. But you are stepping on the accelerator, and at the same time, you are stepping on the brake too. And the heart starts function incoherently. And when your heart functions incoherently, you stop trusting yourself. And all of a sudden, then the heart begins to send very inconsistent messages to the brain. The person starts to move into vacuum or unhappiness or imbalance. And so learning how to create heart coherence and to create brain coherence and to synchronize coherence between the heart and the brain begins to make significant change, not only to your heart, health, but in your complete life. And by the same means, that when you begin to create brain heart coherence, there is more energy going to the brain, and that energy then is causing the brain to function from a greater level of awareness or a greater level of consciousness. This is how two types of brain functions. Now, how to change your life? Now you have understood how your brain works, how programming is done. So how can you change your life? Okay, till now you have learned how mind is programmed. It's time to know and learn how to change your life. And yes, your life can be changed. In order to for you to truly begin make significant change in your life, you have to get beyond your memory. Means you have to get out of the past. And let's talk about that. See, your personality creates your personal reality. Whatever the personality you have, that will be your personal reality. And your personality is made up of how you think, how you act, how you feel. So the present personality called you, who's watching and listening to this seminar, has created the present personal reality called life. That means if you wanted to create a new personal reality to a new life, you would have to change your personality. And as you begin to think about how you have been thinking, notice how you have been acting. And you begin to pay attention to how you have been feeling. The act of observing those states of mind and body begins to disconnect from everything known in your life all around, right? So if you wanted to create something new in your life, you'd have to get beyond present identity. You have to forget the past. You have to disconnect from the environment or personality. When you begin to apply the formula, you will begin to see significant changes, yes, not only within you but in the world around. And it can be done in a very short amount of time. Yes, it is not a big deal. It can be done very short amount of time. In fact, there is a university in Australia. You might have heard Gold Coast University. In the Gold Coast, that's Bond University, that had looked thousands of brain scans. They had brain scans from EEG and MEG. They have studied them and found that our community of people that had their brains measured were able to accomplish this feat, this change in 4 seconds, 9 seconds, or 15 seconds. In other words, they have developed the skill on how to get beyond that analytical mind, get beyond their personality in order to create something new. That can be done even very fast, at very fast speed. There have been measures where it's seen that 80% of the people that had their brain measured had more than 90% change in their brain for the better just by applying this formula. And let me tell you, in the process of change and transformation, that when you are analyzing your life within some disturbing emotion, that you are going to make your brain worse every time. Now think about this. Emotions are a record of the past. Yes, whatever the past you have, that is causing you to have some certain kind of emotions. They are the end product of our past experience. And if you are living your life from some familiar emotion, and that our emotions typically is driven by the hormones of stress, as long as you are thinking within the emotions, we could say then you are thinking in the past. And the solution to your problems is not thinking within the emotions, rather, it's getting beyond yourself and beginning to get beyond the emotions. And when you go, when you do, sorry, when you do, you get beyond your past, and now you are no longer viewing your future or yourself through the lens of the past. You are not supposed to, you should not see the future by the lens of the past. That has gone, let it be there. But here is the side effect of, here's the effect or side effect of whatever you can say. If you begin to see possibilities that you never saw before, you start understanding as how to get beyond yourself and understand yourself, as how to seize the normal analytical process of how you began to change and teach yourself another way to do. It begins to produce significant and measurable change in your life. In other words, it takes a long time for you to, for long time for you as a personality to change your personality. It takes long time for you to change ego. It takes long time for some subconscious program, or it's long time to change your habits. But the formula that you learned as how to get beyond yourself allows you to become so conscious that you are no longer immersed in the personality of somebody else. That is the first step towards the change. Okay, can you believe you can change everything? If you don't believe, you should start believing from today onwards. Yes, you can change everything. How? How is this information changing the way we look at the world when we go from thinking to doing to being? This formula is thinking, doing, and being. I can tell you that when you begin to learn the proper information, and when you combine a little quantum physics, some new terms will be coming, with little neuroscience, with little psychoneuroimmunology, with a little bit of epigenetics. All of these sciences point the finger at the possibility you are beginning to install the neurological hardware in your brain in preparation for an experience. You are making your brain neurons to fire in new sequence, in new patterns, in new combinations. And whenever you make your brain work differently, you are changing your mind. And the more you understand what you are doing and why you are doing, the how becomes easier. And the opposite is also true. If you can't explain that information, the how becomes, sorry, when you can't understand that information, it's not programmed in your mind. That means if you have not understood. So the purpose of this explanation process is, as we add new stitches into the three-dimensional tapestry of your gray matter, is we are doing this because we want to install that circuitry so that nothing is left to conjecture. Nothing is left to superstitions, nothing is left to dogma. That when you understand exactly what you are doing and why, and you assign your meaning to it, you put more intention behind it, and you get better result too. So once you understand that information from an intellectual theoretical understanding in your thinking in neocortex, it can, if you can set up the conditions in the environment and give them proper instructions and making it your behavior that matches to your intention and your actions equal to those thoughts, when you get your mind and body working together, you have some type of transformation. So what's the effect of this process? We can see common people around the world doing uncommon in the sense of becoming supernatural, and I am talking about transforming your life from a meager life to a supernatural, a better life. Okay, you must remember your future will depend on what you feed consciously to your subconscious mind today. That's true. So there are certain methods how you can program reprogram your subconscious mind. Here are the sometimes. See, the morning and evening time when you are about to sleep and when you wake up, your mind is in the state of theta. At time you can program your subconscious mind very easily. Then there is positive affirmations or repetitions. If you repeat something, you affirm anything, that will also sure going to reprogram your life, reprogram your subconscious mind. Then visualization, meditation, and environment. These are techniques and methods where by help of them we can and you can reprogram our mind. But we will go in the details about these anytime in the future. Let's keep it short because if we talk about this how to do, it will be very longer program. So one more thing, why you will do that? There are people means why these are things why you will change the program. Sometimes people are very reluctant, they don't want to change, they are not able to change. So there are certain things. First of all, if you have motivation to change yourself, you can do, you will change your mind, you will replace the new programs from the existing program. And by argument or logic, if you understand something logically that this is so and so, this happens because of this, then you will follow, then there is authority. Sometimes suppose a doctor says if you eat sugar you are going to increase your sugar level in your blood, then you will consciously or unconsciously form a habit for not eating too much of sugar. So that the authority says something, then you consciously adopt that habit. Then hammering on subconscious mind, repeating part. That's a, again and again you are feeding the information to your subconscious mind. Then there are emotions. If you are related to some emotions, you have the strong emotions for something, you are definitely going for that. Then one thing is hypnotism. This is induced sleeping. When you are in sleeping mode, your conscious mind doesn't work, and whatever you listen, whatever something goes in your mind, that's imprinting your subconscious mind. So this is the final words from my side. You are the creator of your own life, your own future, and you have enormous potential to do so. Go ahead and make the changes in yourself and your future. Future is yours. Reprogram your mind, understand it. If you don't understand it, there is some doubts, you can ask me any questions. If not today, you can ask me anytime future. Here is my contact details. You can contact me through various social platforms. And thank you very much. Thank you once again. This concludes my presentation, my speech, and my workshop. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rajendra, for that great presentation. Indeed, you reminded me when I used to be in a science class and our lecturer starts talking about the brain and I'm lost. And I'm asking my brain, do you understand what is being taught? And my subconscious brain goes like, you know what? Um, my subconscious brain is talking to my conscious brain that, okay, I mean, we'll get it. And at the end of the session, I still don't get it. So I'm asking my brain, guys, you have to get this because I'm just, containing you guys. Indeed, tonight you've actually taken us through a lot. We know that the brain is indeed a very powerful tool, and what we think is what we become. And I really much agree with um, thinking and doing, and the effects of what you think, and having a possibility of changing your life. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have just joined us, this is the David Douglas Leadership Forum, and tonight we have Dr. Rajendra, he who is an ex Air Force officer. He is an entrepreneur, an author, philanthropist, and this evening he's bringing our mind on how to reprogram your mind to think in a scientific way. I believe most of us have questions. Our doctor this evening, so would right